Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another CW webinar. My name is Carolina Pereira, and this year, in the brand new year of 2024, we bring you our first webinar containing the main highlights of our global green cement and green concrete market forecast report. Let's get started. In our agenda today, I will start by providing an overview of CW Group, what it is that we do and what we have to offer. I will talk a bit about our services, walk you through some details of these reports and how they are done based on our methodology, which is our second point in today's agenda. After that, I will move into a global economy overview, focusing obviously on a bit of a snapshot of what's happening in the world that also allows us to provide much more in-depth information when looking at these markets. What are these markets? First of all, the initial report to the global green cement market highlights will walk you through consumption and user segmentation and other major metrics and trends, moving from, it's a sun, so to say, global green concrete market highlights, and we will end with some closing remarks and key takeaways. Who is here today? So hopefully in the next couple of minutes, although we are having some technical issues, I will have actually, I see that he's just arrived, so it's good. Live events have this type of issues, but we are here, we are live, and with me today I have Prashant Singh. He's responsible for the firm's research product and multi-client studies. He's worked on multiple industries from cement, steel, and chemical products. He leads the company's industry-focused studies, and he's a frequent speaker at industry conferences. He's based in Mumbai, India, and you can save both mine and Prashant's contact information here. We're more than happy to chat and answer any questions and talk some business. After that, myself, Carolina Pereira, I manage the analyst team and also one of the engagement management leaders for our consulting engagements. I've worked with multiple hedge funds, major industry participants, as well as international financial institutions in Europe, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East. And now let's move to a bit of an overview of what is CW Group. CW Group acts on three different branches. We have advisory, research, and media. Under our advisory branch, we do a lot of one-on-one engagements. Me and both Prashant have had the luck of being part of many of these, and we've worked together for more than 5 years now on a multitude of studies. These comes in multiple types. We are talking about feasibility studies, in-depth market analysis, procurement engagement, M&A advice, strategical operation changes, and reformulations. We have worked a lot within the cement industry. This is what we are known for, but obviously our way of work and our models are kind of been developing, and we now work across a multitude of industries, as you see here, with a gigantic focus, I would say, on greener products, decarbonization, and circular economy. Following this new trend, obviously, CW Research, we conduct a multitude of research projects. Those are off-the-shelf projects that anyone could acquire and will give you basically all the information you need to better understand the industry, to keep updated with the world on these multiple topics. We have the bestseller report, the Global Cement demand forecast. We also have the trade prices report, TPR and VFR. It's the volume forecast report and the trade prices report, as well as the commodity price assessments. We look at prices all over the world. We have one-on-one engagements. Some of these reports are updated every 6 months, every quarter, and every month. And also some are done once a year, as the one that we are presenting today of green cement, and also the other one, green concrete. On our last point will be at our media group. You can have access to our vast databases for market reporting services. We have 6 daily newsletters and news portals where we talk about cement, building materials, industry of paper and pulp, more. Let's see, pet coke, and also ammonium nitrate and nitric acid. We also participate in a lot of meetings. The upcoming event, Slag and Ash Trade 2024, organized by GMI Global, will be present there as supporters, and myself as a presenter talking a bit more than you will see here, so a bit more of sharing more insights on the green cement market. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to contact us for more information. It will be a pleasure to meet and see you there. Now, let's talk about the report. First of all, Global Green Cement Market and Forecast Report. In this report, we provide basically a market overview. We looked at industry segmentation, market drivers and constraints, innovation and development. We look at we do a competitive analysis going for analyzing regional market shares by product type and user. This report there's a big focus on blended cement, which is the most, let's say, used way of making cement greener. We talk about fly ash based, slag based, limestone based, and silica furnace based, among others. And we also look at sectors, residential and non-residential, for this analysis. As a very data-centric firm, one of the highlights of this report is obviously our regional and global historical review and outlook. So we provide data, informed data, since 2018 until 2028. We looked at all these regions. We look at consumption, market size, and also an analysis on what are the main regional differences. And then we provide company profiles in snapshot format. So everything you need to know at a high level that will keep you informed into who are the participants in this market. On a similar note, we have the Global Green Concrete Market Forecast Report. The same timeline, again, extremely data-centric, obviously pulling from green cement, as those markets are extremely correlated. We do an industry segmentation by end user. We look at market participants, competitive advantages, drivers, and constraints. We look at the main market participants by region and recent developments. Again, big focus on data. We look at regional differences. We go for consumption, market size, and regional differences going until 2028, as well as some company profiles for the biggest players in the market. I do apologize because I have some background noise. I hope you can hear me properly. Now let's talk a bit about our methodology. What are the steps we take to do what we do? First of all, we have to better understand the future. We have to understand the past. We look at historical data on an annual basis for both cement and concrete, and in this case, then segmenting it to green cement and green concretes and what has been the evolution in the past. We estimate the present. How do we do it? We look at production, consumption of green cement and green concrete in the past. We look at construction activity trends and also macroeconomic developments. What does the future hold how we do it. We do it on a country by country basis. We look at upcoming trends, inflation, GDP growth, and geopolitical tensions, and then we apply a bottom up approach. As we have consolidated our country by country analysis of the major economies, we do a regional segmentation. We divide the world into um, uh, its regions, and we get a clear picture of what are the main markets for what regions, obtaining data granularity and obviously specific market insights. After that, we look at market participants, who is there, who's playing this market, and who has a major role. So we look at providing a full understanding of this market, of these participants through company profiles. And last but not least, the biggest takeaway I would say is our next expert network. We are big believers of talking to people. We do this in a way to validate our data points. We talk with people all over the world in terms of fine tuning and better inform our data analysis. Now, let's move and let's talk a bit about global economy overview. Moving too fast. Now, I would like to start by presenting an overview of the global economy outlook. First of all, and according to the IMF October's update, the global economy growth in 2024 is forecasted at 2.9%, down from 3.1% in 2023. Despite the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russia is expected to grow 1.1% in 2024 as the economy managed to perform despite economic sanctions imposed on it. On the same note, Ukraine is expected to see a 3.2% GDP growth. The European Union, which has been rocked by the conflict, is projected to take a big economic hit, with the bloc's growth outlook for this year revised to 1.2%, up from the 0.7% in 2023. Moreover, and now kind of looking down on our page, Goldman Sachs released its economic outlook, revising downwards the global growth to 2.6% this year, mostly due again to the Russia-Ukraine conflicts, the widening conflict in the Middle East, and the challenging macroeconomic environments in China. Meanwhile, India's economy is expected to be the best performing major economy in the world, growing at an estimated 6.3% in 2024, as it did in 2023. So we are here handing our macroeconomic analysis on a big, and positive note. Now, moving to crude oil prices. In terms of crude oil prices in late December 2023, this price reached an average of $72.5 per barrel, but since have increased at around $75 per barrel due to the growing tensions in the Middle East. Prices are not expected to decline sharply, as OPEC Plus wants to ensure at least the current levels of prices to fund all the existing infrastructure projects in countries including Saudi Arabia and the UAE. The US production, meanwhile, is expected to continue reaching new records for production at 13.2 million barrels per day in 2024 and 13.4 million barrels per day in 2025, driven mostly by well efficiency. Additionally, the fact that it's an election year and high pump prices are not looked on favorably by the public is also an important factor to consider. Now, moving to Baltic Dry Index, we have seen that a decline in the last couple of months due to lower demand from China. However, the outlook for the short term, we can say it's volatile, mostly due to the slower than expected global GDP growth, especially by the weakness in the Chinese economy as the key importer of commodities. But also the reality is that the index can expect an increase if the continued attacks on shipments are expected to continue of the coast of Yemen. Now, finalizing my section of the presentation, I would like to pass the presentation to my colleague Prashant Singh. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in our upcoming webinars.
Hi, Carolina. Thank you so much, and hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this webinar, and I will now share with you some highlights of the global cement and concrete reports. So, as you can see on this slide, China is actually expected to be the leading, the trendsetter for green cement, and it has actually been for years. Although it's not primarily motivated by any environmental concerns, but rather a focus on cost efficiencies in using available fly ash and slag from existing coal power plants and steel plants, respectively. Now, green cement is becoming increasingly more popular in construction, primarily because there is growing awareness of the negative environmental impact of conventional cement production in terms of GHG contribution. It is also expected, and so therefore China is actually expected to account for about 52% of the market size at around 150 billion, but in 2023. But this is expected to decline to around 48% by 2028. And this decline, this change in terms of the percentage is expected to be made up by Asia ex-China, which is going to take on the mantle of growth for both cement and concrete. We expect Asia ex-China's share to increase from 17% today to over 22% by the end of the forecast period. Green cements predominantly, especially blended cements in this context, represent a very constructive path for reducing the industry's GHG emissions. Predominantly why? Because they can be adapted for use in traditional cement OPC plants without any fundamental requirements for rejigging the equipment. They improve cost efficiencies, which can either be even more further enhanced by the use of alternative fuels. Additionally, the impact of CBAM, which is the cross-border adjustment mechanism, is expected to have a major impact across the global cement industry. The imposition of carbon taxes on the cement industry are going to force the market players to reevaluate their current production portfolios. As we move on to the next slide, and here we see global consumption of green cement by end user. Although non-residential projects, including commercial buildings, infrastructure, and industrial facilities, require construction materials, the sector still hasn't fully embraced cement. With strength requirements not as stringent for infrastructure projects, green cement has been well received for residential construction. There is a substantial for example, the residential sector is expected to account for about 73% of demand, and this is expected to increase to 78%, especially due to the demand for housing across regions. There is a substantial shortage of affordable housing units in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And to give you some perspective, in Nigeria alone, there is an estimated shortage of about 20 million housing units as of today. And this is only expected to get worse as the current construction of housing cannot keep up with the population growth. Now, on the other hand, you have countries, including the United States, which have belatedly made the transition to green cement, especially blended cements, and especially in the case of the United States, to Portland limestone cement. since the pandemic. But the cement industry in the United States continues to have a very high clinker ratio at 0.84. This is well above the global average of around 0.72. And China actually for a period was down to 0.67. So we see that the United States has a long way to go before it can sort of achieve those levels of clinker to cement ratio. Now, we look at Western Europe. Western Europe has been a key driver and a promoter for green cement due to a multi-decade focus on the environment and sustainability. With green cement becoming more available, including new products such as non-clinker cement, this is easier for adaptation in a developed market because of more understanding more understanding of the complexity, and sort of a more openness to use these new technologies. If somehow this whole hurdle can be overcome, the acceptance by the public will grow in line with the focus on sustainability and the circular economy. On this next slide, as you see, when we're looking at the global consumption of green cement by region, it's to no surprise that China is the largest producer and user of green cement. With that said, the growth in China is expected to grow. The growth is expected to slow down as the Chinese economy undergoes significant macroeconomic changes as it moves from a production-based economy to a more service-based economy. And you can already see sort of the change impacting growth rates in China over the past few years, despite the rest of the world sort of having moved on from COVID. China continues to be mired in sort of a low growth trajectory, at least for the coming couple of years. Asia ex-China, on the other hand, is expected to be the fastest growing region in this for this forecast period at a CAGR of almost 5.1%. And most of this growth is concentrated in regions including India, Vietnam, Philippines, and Indonesia. Now, the key factor in all of these countries is that they have a better clinker to, they have a low clinker to cement ratio, and they have significant access to fly ash and slag. Now, this may change as we sort of go in the coming decades. When we look at the global production capacity vis-a-vis the consumption of green cement on the next slide, but what you see is that in effect, there is no lack of production capacity to produce green cement. It's the capacity shortage is actually where there are non-traditional green cements, including non-clinker cements, which are completely new novelty pure products that have a very, very unique production process. Of course, at the present time, they are uneconomical in terms of mass production, but as we expect in the coming decades, these kinds of cements will likely gain popularity and sort of larger acceptance. In production may become more viable. Right now, there is an increasing pressure on the industry to reduce its carbon footprint one way or the other. And as you've seen at COP22, 24, 26, there's a sustained focus on net zero goals, both at the country level and now at the industry level. This is forcing companies to change their product portfolios. For example, in Canada, we have the province of Quebec has mandated that by May 1st this year, the cement producers have to showcase a viable plan to combat GHG emissions. So there is actual, actual implementation of these very strict standards in play. Now, in regions like India and China, where there's still reliance on coal power, the cement industry has access to millions of tons of fly ash and slag. But even there, the steel industry, which is again also a major contributor to GHG emissions, is also undergoing a sort of transformation from the energy inefficient BOFs, which produce slag, to more energy efficient electric arc furnace slag, which is not used in cement. So over the next few years, this is also going to disrupt sort of the supply of a key SCM in terms of blended cement products. Now, when we look at the this basically sums up where we are in terms of global cement, green cement, and now it makes sense to sort of deep dive directly into the green concrete discussion, and because obviously green cement is a vital ingredient to make green concrete. Now, green concrete obviously is becoming more and more popular due to the fact that it's made from green cement, which uses fly ash and slag, prevents a lot of material from going into landfills, and helping reduce soil pollution. Concrete, for fortunately or unfortunately, remains the world's construction material of choice, and this is not expected to change anytime soon. Green cement, like green cement, concrete is expected to see growth in Asia ex-China, driving it with the same countries, the main culprits: India, Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia. And this is primarily because they have significant numbers of infrastructure projects that are at play. Now, investment in green concrete is being driven by government policies and regulations. And as you can see that across the world, there are many cities that are implementing building codes and standards which necessitate the use or incentivize the use of green concrete. We have not yet seen a scenario where there's going to be penalties imposed, but that's quite possible. The adoption of international building codes across regions can also become a significant driver for the use of green concrete, especially for infrastructure projects. Now, on the following page, we see the global consumption of green concrete in terms of millions of cubic meters. Now, to no one's surprise, Asia, China remains the biggest market and will continue to do so over the forecast period. Now, we expect Asia ex-China to grow at a CAGR of 7.3%. And this is led by a significant number of projects in the residential infrastructure segments. And the main reason why countries are adopting or promoting the use of green cements is because for the industry, it makes sense because green concrete is a product that is more cost effective than traditional concrete. It allows for industrial use of material and waste material, and also the fact that it has a lower carbon footprint. So these are the factors that are forcing the industry to adopt the transition to green concrete. And I think as we see countries approaching the mark of around 2030, more and more countries will mandate the industry to adopt green concrete for major construction purposes. Now, On the following slide, on this slide, you see the global consumption of concrete by end user. And again, like with green cement, the residential sector remains the primary driver. There is a growing demand for homes that are energy efficient, water efficient, and built under environmentally friendly materials and practices. There is a rising cost of energy and utilities, which has led many homeowners to seek more energy efficient homes with less maintenance. And this is, a primary driver for the use of green concrete. In developed markets, including the United States, the Infrastructure and Job Act could also fundamentally reshape the cement the concrete demand scenario if it is implemented in the right spirit. So with that, I would like to sum up the points from both reports. As you can see, that green concrete is gaining popularity in green construction due to its focus on sustainability and circular economy. China, for good or bad, remains the world's largest producer and user of cement, green cement and green concrete, and is expected to continue being so over the forecast period. The main driver for both demand for its concrete and cement will be Asia ex-China. And this will be driven by the large-scale construction pipeline for residential and non-residential projects. And last but not least, green cement is gaining traction across the globe due to the fact that more and more there's more public awareness of the negative impact of conventional cement production. And this is expected to be a major contributor as not only government regulations will mandate industry to switch. With that, thank you everybody for joining us on this webinar, and we look forward to your presence on our upcoming webinars.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.